6 months again, there were all kinds of feelings: pure happiness, pure excitement, pure exhaustion, pure overwhelm, pure like, oh my god, I didn't think itna hoga. If there was an occasion, it was Diwali, it was whatever, I was like, मुझे कुछ मत गिफ्ट करना. Here are the links.
The copy list.
Copy. Don't spend money on this. Save me some money by buying me things for my dog. Like for me again, right? Tucker was the sort of reason why I wanted a retriever.
Yeah.
And maybe initially in my head, I had this unconscious expectation that my dog will be like Tucker, but she's not.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Humans of the Pack podcast. In today's episode, we are speaking to Chhavi. Chhavi is a pet parent to this beautiful golden retriever named Sparkle. And honestly, Chhavi is one of the most amazing parents I've ever met. She's so caring, but she's never overbearing. She has big goals for Sparkle, but she never imposes them on Sparkle and lets her choose what she wants to do by her own self. She is a full-time working professional. She's a certified therapy dog trainer. She's a mentor at the Pack. She's a full-time social media influencer and so much more. Sometimes I wonder where does she get all this energy to do so much from. In this episode, she talks about everything from her journey with dogs early on in her life to getting Sparkle to then taking Sparkles on so many adventures together and now on her journey to make Sparkle a therapy dog. This is a very interesting episode and one that is very close to my heart. So let's get watching. Hi, Chhavi. Welcome. And everybody who is watching in, thank you so much for joining us. This is the first episode of Humans of the Pack, a small podcast series that we are launching to help pet parents understand the reality of raising dogs in India and hear it straight from pet parents of our community and their experiences and their journeys with their dog so that you can make a more thoughtful decision if you're getting a dog or be like you can understand that whatever you're going through today is not just you and your dog, but it's very similar to the experiences of the other pet parents also. Thank you so much, Chhavi. Thank you for being the first guest of our small little podcast. We really hope to make a lot of positive change with this, but really happy that you are joining us today and welcome. Can you tell me a little bit for everybody who's joining us, where are you joining us from and how did you get to this city?
All right. No, thank you first of all for having me, Shobhit. It's always a pleasure to be part of things that the pack does because it's always helped me, and that's why I try to sort of help back, hoping that it helps somebody. And to answer your question, I'm joining from Bangalore. I'm originally from Delhi. About 1.5, 2 years ago, I relocated to Bangalore with Sparkle, my dog, my golden retriever. And yeah, here we are.
We chanced upon meeting Sparkle because we were doing a small little giveaway and then we met Chhavi through that and Sparkle. And I think the first day we met, I told Chhavi that, you know what, this dog has a lot of potential. And I think that stuck with you, right, Chhavi? Like that was our first interaction. And then after that, you've done so much with Sparkle.
Yeah, it did. And I always come back to you, right? Every time I'm doing anything related to her, training or like new experiences, etc. Always, from the bottom of my heart, I'm always thankful that, you nudged me. You were the first person to nudge me to see that in her. And I'm glad that you did because it's
so proud.
Yeah.
So proud. So again, for context, Sparkle is on her way, hopefully to become a therapy dog very soon. And Chhavi is doing all that she can, apart from doing so many other things, which we'll get to in more detail, to make her one of the therapy dogs in Bangalore, which will be really amazing if we can do that. Because I know for sure that this world needs a lot more therapy dogs than it has today. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So I wanted to start this with a little bit of a background first, Chhavi. Because, as people who have been born and brought up in India, we understand that dogs are not really a natural part of our lives, at least in the urban parts of India. I remember growing up with, parents and other people telling me to be afraid of street dogs and community dogs because, they may bite.
Correct.
How was your experience with dogs in the early years, like when you were growing up as a child? I think you were growing up in Delhi.
Yeah.
So what was it like there?
So for me, I grew up in a house where there was always a dog. At least until I was about 10 years old. I when I was born, there was a dog in my house. Of course, I don't remember. I do remember two, three other dogs who who were there when I was sort of in that age where I could remember that they were there. And the first one was Snoopy. He was a Pomerian, a white Spitz or Pomerian. Back then, every Spitz was also called a Pomerian. So our the people who lived below our house, right? They were gifted that dog, and they were not able to sort of care for it. So that's when my family sort of, decided to take him, because the dog was always spending more time with us. We were taking care of him and all of that. And then eventually, at some point, that agreement happened that, okay, you only keep him because clearly he's neither happy with us nor do we want him. And like, we don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
So
How old
that
were you then?
I was in class third, I
Oh,
think, second
wow.
or third.
That's
So
the,
would have been 7, 8 years old, maybe,
yeah.
or somewhere in that age group. So that's the first dog that I remember being around. He came to us as a puppy. I saw him as a puppy, and he grew up. And again, my mom, by the way, till date, very, very, very scared of dogs. Yet somehow there was a dog in our house.
So who would take care of Snoopy?
So again, the feeding, the everything, right, was mom's responsibility. So even till date with Sparkle, right, my mom doesn't touch Sparkle. She feeds Sparkle, she cares for Sparkle and everything. That was the same case back then. Then the evening walks, getting stuff for the dog from, and again, this was the time where you would feed milk and bread and roti to your
Yeah.
dog. So getting the milk for the dog was every day my duty, and then take him for a walk around. That time it was a small dog. I was a responsible kid, and again, my parents thought that I could do it, so
Amazing.
they gave me but again, in hindsight, that's not a very good thing to do. To give a dog to such a young kid. But again, it was a very, again, like a closed colony where we lived, a very safe environment. Everybody knows everybody. So, right, if you see that the kid is not able to handle, somebody will step in to take care and like help out and things like that. But yeah, that was that. And then the rest was, I think, my dad's responsibility, bathing the dog and like, playing and things like that, and disciplining the dog and all that. Those are the pieces that I remember. And then of course, a lot changed in my life also, and all of that. And then for years and years and years, I had no dog in the house. And I think for some years I would have forgotten also. And then I think I grew up 11th, 12th, or maybe college, and then I'm like, I want a dog, I want a dog, I want a dog. And then mom would be like, no, I already have two dogs. Get your dog and you get.
What a standard dialogue from moms, no? The other standard dialogue is it's me or the dog. You decide.
Correct. If it comes to a point where you're like, nahi, dog to aake hi rahega, then it's like, okay, it's me or the dog. That also did happen. I remember one time it was a very rainy, thundery night, and the dog that we had, his name was Tommy. He bit a lot of, like, he was anxious, which was again something unknown to everyone at that.
Yeah.
So he tore the bed sheet. Like, he was anxious and he tore, and the next morning my mom saw it and she freaked out. She said, "इस घर में मैं रहूंगी या ये कुत्ता रहेगा?" Then I'm like, मैं खाना नहीं खाऊंगी.
This was when was this? When was Tommy at home?
This was, I think, I would have been in class fifth, fifth or sixth.
Oh,
So
oh,
yeah,
so you had Snoopy and Tommy at home.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
wow. For a
yeah,
mom
yeah.
who didn't like dogs, I commend her. She was very patient.
I do too. But yeah, there were very strict rules and very strict boundaries. The dog somehow knew never to enter the kitchen, never to go near. And dogs are smart, right? I think we don't give them enough credit, because I've never disciplined Sparkle in that manner, but she's always known to stay away from my mom, like, at a respectable distance where neither of them is sort of bothered, because she understands that this lady is scared if I go closer. So I think
Absolutely.
dogs are very smart. We just don't give them enough credit for it.
I completely agree. That's the same case with my dog and my mom as well. My mom is like, she can now at least, do the basics like feeding my dog and everything, but she is also the same mindset, right? Like, you know, so she would not touch Drogo or she'll not come too close.
Yeah,
And Drogo also maintains a very healthy distance
correct,
automatically.
correct.
And for my mom, it's like maybe he doesn't like me. But for me, it's very clear that he's giving you space because
Yeah.
he knows you're not comfortable.
Exactly, exactly. And the opposite also, right? At least
Yeah.
I see it, and I think for all practical purposes, Sparkle is my first dog. The dogs that I had the fortune of growing up with, I really don't know how they grew up, how were they taught, how were they taken care of. For me, they were there. I would play with them. I loved them. They were there, but I honestly don't remember when they came, where did they come from, barring Snoopy, because that was a separate this thing. Where did they go? When did they go? I
Yeah.
have no idea. So, Sparkle is practically the first dog that I have. And the opposite also I see true, right? That we would be walking, and maybe some car would pass by, or around the corner, she'll just freeze because somebody's coming, and she's just standing there, and until they come and they pet her, she won't move. So from
How
a
cute.
distance she knows that this person will come. We don't know that person, we've never met them, but she can tell that this person will come and they would want to pet me. So she'll stand and wait,
Oh,
make
wow.
sure we come and pet her, and that's when she'll make a move.
That's amazing. Talk
Yeah,
about sixth sense, huh?
that's what, like, I'm
Yeah.
always so I'm like, this person was in a car, you've not sniffed him up close, this person was away, again, you don't know, we've never met them, it's not you're excitedly waiting for somebody you know will come, but it just happens.
Maybe
So
it's their body language, the eye contact. From a distance, she's able to make out, oh, he's welcoming.
I have no idea.
It's amazing. It's
So smart.
amazing. They're
Yeah,
so. So this was your journey initially,
yeah,
and then what happened that you finally decided that first you want your own dog.
yeah.
Second, your mom also caved in and said yes.
So I think I was not living at home when Sparkle came. So I was working in Gurgaon. So I was living in Gurgaon, which is uh, at least where the part of Delhi that I live in, very long distance. So I was living in Gurgaon because of work. And then I felt like, finally I'm in that place in life maybe where I can take on, like, this, I don't know, this sense sort of kicked in that, okay, now I can manage a dog. Like, again, I won't say I can take care of a dog, because at that point I didn't know what it takes to take care of a dog. But I felt like, okay, I am in a place where I can manage a dog. I have the space, I have the right sort of setting. I see a lot of dogs where I was living, and I knew that, my flatmates at that point, they'd be very supportive. They're all fond of dogs, because Neo, Prachi's dog, he would visit us in that house, and
So
every
just to introduce Prachi as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's yeah, Prachi is Sparkle's mom number two. Sparkle has three moms. Mom number one is me. Mom number two is Prachi. Mom number three is Mannat. All of us were living together in Gurgaon. When Sparkle came to us, she was there. So she's grown up with us, and all of us were lucky enough to sort of be moving to Bangalore at the same time. We hacked it a little bit also, because one was getting a job in Bangalore, others were looking. So we thought, let's make it happen. Let's all go to Bangalore. So we fortunately ended up moving to Bangalore together, which we're still living together. We live one floor up and down. So Sparkle's very well with her three moms, at least as of now, until things change. So yeah, mom number two has a Labrador named Neo, and he's now 12. So he would visit us sometimes in Gurgaon, where we all live together. And we used to love having him around. I mean, I've known Neo for longer because Prachi and I are friends from college. So I've known Neo for way longer. And then whenever he would come home, Manat, our other flatmates, everybody, we would love having him there. So I knew from that point of view also that currently this is my ecosystem. This is going to be my support system. Everybody looks aligned. Prachi has some experience raising a dog. So, that might come in handy. And financially also, I feel that I'm in a place where I can sort of afford a dog. And I don't think that's something to
Take lightly.
yeah, think lightly of.
Yeah,
Or and if you feel that you're not in a place where you can afford a dog, it's not something to be ashamed of either,
right.
because it does take some change to your
I
finances.
think the way to think about is that if we are to have a human baby, we
Yes.
think two times, three times, four times because we understand how
Yeah.
expensive it has become today. We have all gone through the experience of
Correct.
going through school and then college, and then for us, it's become ingrained to think of the financial cost attached,
Yes.
but we don't think of it the same way. Oh, oh, hi,
I've heard her name enough.
hello,
Enough many times.
welcome.
So yeah, Sparkle made a cameo.
Cameo.
Neo's name and oh, she heard Neo's name and
Of course, she had to come and check.
she loves him. So yeah, sorry,
So
but yeah,
yeah,
that's
the financial part of the
yes,
having a child is very well known and very well
yes,
considered,
yes,
but we don't think about it when we get a dog. And I think it's not to do as much with our intentions. I don't think anybody wants to be a poor pet parent,
correct.
but what we miss out is the financial reality. I don't think anybody tells a
Yes,
person who's about to get a dog how costly it can be,
correct.
and I don't see the costs coming down; they're only going up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
and again, right, like taking that comparison with humans also, right? As the kid grows, the expenses grow.
correct.
The dog grows, the expenses can grow.
Yeah.
Again, depending on a lot of things. So it's something we're not sort of used to thinking about, but it should be something to think about when somebody's getting a dog.
Yeah. So you were in a good place financially, you had the support of your flatmates, and you felt that you were in the right zone to get a dog, right?
Yeah.
But then why a golden retriever? What brought you to that decision? Very important question, by the way, I must tell you. From my personal experience, I gave it zero thought.
See, that's why I'm laughing because I genuinely, and it's not okay. 2.5 years down the journey, I am. I wouldn't advise what I did to anybody because now I know a lot better. I didn't at all at the time when I did, when I got Sparkle. But think about the dog that would sort of fit into your lifestyle in terms of their energy and
Yeah.
natural instincts. But that was not something that I did. I was obsessed with Tucker.
I can totally relate. I understand that, and I respect that.
Yeah, I
He's
was.
adorable.
My brother, he used to watch videos of Tucker between his study time. Okay, so
Hmm.
that was his entertainment. And my brother has a knack for some interesting content. So he would play it, I would end up watching it. And I was obsessed with his mane. Okay,
Yeah,
until then, I think I would have seen golden retrievers in movies, right? Kalana also had a golden retriever
yeah,
in some scenes, but I didn't know that was a golden retriever.
yeah,
I saw Tucker. That was the first time even realized that this is the breed. It's called retriever. I only knew Pomeranians. I knew Labrador because Neo's a Labrador. I knew our Streeties, our Indies, and a couple German Shepherds. Again, the breeds you'd sort of always seen, right? Which have been there: German Shepherds, Doberman,
yeah,
and things like that. So I had seen those dogs and I knew those, but I really didn't know much about retrievers as a breed and like, this is what they call. Okay. Labradors with long hair are called golden retrievers.
although Labrador is actually Labrador Retriever. That also
Exactly.
came to me very late. I was like, what?
Exactly. What? Labradors are also retrievers? No retriever retrieves anything. So
No, but I can totally relate. Yeah, Tucker is such a I think he's genuinely the first superstar dog
He is,
of
he is,
planet Earth.
he is,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I was sort of obsessed with the way Tucker looked and the way the way Tucker is in generally. I got very fascinated, and I think that's where the fixation on retrievers sort of came in. And yeah, that's it. That's how a golden retriever it
So
was.
So tell us about how it is like to raise a golden retriever, right? Like a lot of pet parents get different kinds of dogs, different
Yeah,
personalities, different breeds. A lot of parents talk about, even experts talk about how the personality of a dog is highly correlated to the breed of the dog.
yeah.
So what was it like to raise Sparkle for the first 6 months, right? As a golden retriever, like what were the quirks? What were the things that you had to take care of?
Sure. So, again, I think I only started learning about dogs and what it takes, like let alone a retriever as a breed, but about dogs in general as a species, and then within that retriever's breed. Everything for me started after Sparkle came home. um, all my research, all my consulting people, asking questions, figuring things out. I spent endless hours, happily so, just trying to understand, okay, this is what it is, this is what it is. Another very important thing, and we got very lucky on this, was that we had a very good vet from the start. So he sort of introduced us to some
Do you,
important like
do you want to
things.
give a shout out to this vet? Who was this
Yes,
vet?
yes. This is Dr. Samar Chauhan. He was back then in Gurgaon working at CP Vet. He's not working with CP Vet anymore, but a fantastic doctor. So patient, so kind, so thoughtful, not at all into scaring you into things, not at all into forcing you to buy things. Actually would discourage us from buying certain brands of food or things like that. This is not good, this is healthy, okay, we should give calcium only until she's 4 months old. After that it's over supplementation, we don't need. So he was a very kind and patient vet, and he would very patiently answer all the questions, thousand questions, right? When you have a puppy, you've never done this before, everything's a question. Why is she pooping so many times? Why is she not pooping today? This happened, that happened, I see this, I noticed this, da da da, right? So he was always very patient and sort of also forward looking, right? So for example, when they're puppies, right, you pretty much initially go in for their shots every week, every 10 days, right? That initial cycle, it's you're seeing the vet quite often. So you're doing that physical check, you're checking their weight, you're making sure they're growing up fine and all that. From the start he told us, okay, she's a retriever. Retrievers tend to get overweight very easily because they love food generally, and Sparkle was not a fussy eater. So he's like, they tend to gain weight, so you have to be careful about that because it will become a problem later. Then before, well ahead in time, he told us that after this age, start correcting her spluting because it will impact her joints,
Yeah.
and retrievers love to splut, and that's not always good for them. They're very predisposed to hip dysplasia, so take care of that. So those things he was telling us way ahead in time. How to check that she has enough water, check the skin elasticity, how to check if it's too much fat.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he was very nice, and he was very he was like the guide that I had at that point in time. And then I would read. So everything started after Sparkle came in. It was one day at a time, but it was phenomenal. It was also exhausting on days because puppies need a lot of time and attention. That cute side of puppyhood is what everybody loves. We see the videos, we see the pictures, and we're like, oh, I want a puppy. But there's like a lot of work that goes behind it. There are
Yeah.
early mornings and late nights, and like lots of feeding, lots of vaccination, lots of cleaning up, lots of correction, lots of like learning things yourself, because you have to teach the puppy that's the right age, right? So
Yeah.
for example, Sparkle was potty trained or like p mat trained from day 2. The first day she came, we just every time should pick her up and keep her. The minute she'd start,
Fantastic. Yeah.
we'll pick her up and keep her on the mat. So second day she knew if I have to pee, I have to go pee on that mat. We
Yeah.
fixed the mat in a place, right? It starts from the minute the dog comes in, right?
Correct.
Training of sorts. Or if not to call it training, also it's just like acclimatizing the dog to your household, making them aware of what the rules are, what's okay, what's not okay. It just hits you from the minute the dog is in. But yeah, so all of that happened. It was I I had a fairly easier puppyhood than most people experience because she was not a destructive puppy, or maybe we corrected her well in time so she couldn't become destructive. A lot of things we were just doing based on what I was reading, what the vet was suggesting us, and not really thinking about them as, oh, I am putting in this conscious effort to do this, but it was happening. So a lot of things were natural to her. She has a personality. A lot of things was us learning and then trying to sort of make her understand. And um that period was, those 6 months. Again, there was all kinds of feelings: pure happiness, pure excitement, pure exhaustion, pure overwhelm, pure like, oh my god, I didn't think itna hoga types, like,
It's a roller coaster ride. Huh?
it's a roller coaster, but it's very well worth it, right?
Yeah.
Pet parenting is really tough. I know this because Drogo and I struggled together for more than 2 years together. And the thing is, nobody told us this before we started our journey. Pet parents need help. And this is why at the Pack we are bringing together some of the most experienced pet parents, most dedicated mentors, and even certified experts to provide the help that every parent needs in order to raise happier dogs at home. Today, our community is home to more than 3,000 members who get help every day on their daily parenting issues. Would you like to join them? If yes, please do check out the link in the description below, and I hope to see you there in our community.
How would you recommend a pet parent or to be pet parent to prepare for this first 6 months? And you know what? It's very interesting because we were talking about the budget thing earlier, right?
Yeah.
So give us a perspective from the amount of time that a pet parent will need and maybe a approximate, budget expectation that parents must have.
Mhm. That's a good question. Um, in terms of time, again, I like to. So Sparkle's a pandemic baby. Fortunately, I had more time than say I do right now to spend with her, and a
She
lot of
came in she came in 2021, right?
she came in 2021.
Yeah.
So, I was home throughout, and I say I here because I'm her primary sort of person. I take care of her training, I take care of her diet, I take care of her this thing, and the other moms, we all align, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's also sort of necessary that the dog sort of knows. So, Sparkle has very different relationships with all of us, but because all of us are in tune, her normal doesn't change. She knows
Correct.
what is allowed, what is not allowed. That is constant. uh,
Consistency is important.
Consistency is important.
Yeah.
So I'll say I here, but it's a we effort. Again, I would like to emphasize on that. So yeah, I think in terms of time, I had a lot more time back then. And I was also very, very like motivated to make the most of it, which is why I did all the research I could. I started like training her early on, at home. It started with fun tricks and everything, right? And behaviors sort of fell into place alongside. Because again, I'm not an expert on this, but I was reading up a lot. I was attending classes. That's how I attended a lot of retriever classes at the pack also, to understand different times what's happening, what to do, how to do better, how to do more, and things like that. So all of that was happening. So in terms of time, I think if I were to recommend something, especially now that we're not in that pandemic era where everybody's working from home, I would say that yes, when you get, if you're getting a puppy home, right, you'll have to have some more time initially on your hands, because puppies do need work. They need that love. They need that attention. Set up your dog's routine and your routine in a manner where, in a manner, in a realistic manner, not how it is right now that I have some extra time, but how it will be. um,
Very important. Yes.
Very important, right? That
Yeah.
if you know that your work is demanding, you're going to spend long hours in the office, set up your dog's routine in that manner. If you know
Yeah.
you have a flexible schedule, set up your dog's routine in that manner. If you're going to be home, set up your dog's routine in that manner. If your
I think
job,
we've seen that, yeah, that a
yes,
lot of parents make a mistake here
yes,
because during the puppy 3 4 weeks,
yes,
they're giving a lot more time,
yes,
and then they say, okay, I've given you the time, now I'm going to cut back. Suddenly
yes,
they cut back.
and
That's
the
when the
dog,
puppy struggles to
yes, yes,
adjust.
because again, what is the dog's fault? The dog is used to something, and suddenly we change it, right? So the
Yeah.
dog has nothing to do but to be confused. So that's what happens. So I would really suggest that, set up from the start your dog for success, which is in line with how his life or her life is going to be. um, for all practical purposes, right? If
Yeah.
you are going to travel a lot without the dog, set them up to get used to living with whoever they're going to be living with, whether it's going to be a boarding, whether it's going to be somebody in the family, it's going to be a friend, right? Get them used to that from as early on as you can. So that is something I would really suggest, that
And
everybody
how
has.
much how much time does it take from the primary pet parent on like a day-to-day basis, the first 6 months? Because a lot of parents also tell us that, so we see a lot of parents get dogs on a Friday
Uh-huh.
so that they have Saturday and Sunday to adjust, and then they're like, okay, from Monday I'm back to office, and the puppy is going to be okay because we have spent 2 days, so now we can leave the puppy alone for 6 to 7 hours. Even if
Mm,
they're not doing it, they're at least thinking it.
the thought process.
Yeah, the thought is there, right? So
Yeah.
so do you advise that, like, how much
No.
time does it really take in the first few weeks?
So I think the first few weeks, it's at least like actively, like, active as when you're awake and the puppy is awake and you're actively engaging in things. It can take easily about 3 4 hours, if I'm not
Yeah.
being too exaggerative or too this thing humble about it. With all your feeding, with the with again teaching them different rules of the house, again whether it's you training them to learn certain things or you just getting them accustomed to different rules of the household, etc. Plus, like, just grooming them, their playtime, their everything, right? Like, 3 4 months when they're vaccinated, your walks also kick in and everything. So it's an active. If you can, then 3 4 hours it does take, and there'll be intervals, right? Because
Yeah, it's not like one
yeah,
shot of 3 4
yeah,
hours.
it's
Yeah.
not 3 4 hours. I have a block of time that's free
Yeah.
now. I can be done for the day. It
Because
doesn't work.
honestly, that's what people think. They're like, okay, I'll go to office 7 8 hours, and then I'm back, and the
Uh,
rest 15 hours are for my puppy.
no, that's not how it works, because puppy has to sleep for 15 hours. So it might as well be that you're back and the puppy sleeping. Do what you
Yeah.
can. So,
Yeah.
it's like that. So for me also, right, it was waking up at 5 first of all, because she wants to pee, and we had sort of, crate trained her at that time, again unknowingly, for very different reasons, but we ended up crate training her. And it went really well. And so she wouldn't like to, even though we had the tray with the pee mat and everything, she didn't like dirtying or peeing in her crate. So she would wake me up with a little woof that I want to pee. So I take her to a mat, then you
How
feed, then you
cute.
come back. Then okay, she wants to sleep for another 2 hours. Now she's up because she's again hungry. So it's another 30 minutes. You feed, you play, do a little combing
Yeah.
and cleaning and all of that. Again, then she'll sleep for hours. Then you wake up, you play, you feed, and
It's a
there's
4 hour cycle, like six
yeah,
times
yeah,
a day.
yeah. It happens. It'll
Yeah.
happen through the day. And in terms of finances, right? Again, depending on the size of the dog that you're getting, it'll vary. Mine is, of course, a large breed dog. Things are costlier. Smaller
Yeah.
breeds, things are relatively. I won't say it's easy, but they're relatively, I think, lesser. They cost a little lesser. But yeah, like, account for, especially initially, and I think um, later in life also, account for vet costs, right?
Yeah.
Vaccination, your regular visits, if you can, I would say find a vet before you even get a dog, because
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
big
Big deal. Because
takes
even our vet expert has always suggested that speak to your vet before you get a dog.
before you get a dog. Exactly. So that is very important, I think. But whether you find the vet before or after, account for their fees, right? If you're getting a good vet, and you should get a good vet, the fees will also sort of be good. It won't be very whatever, right? So account for that, account for vaccination, account for supplements. Again, right, those will vary depending on the breed of the dog. You have food to take care of, right? Whether you're feeding fresh food that you're preparing at home, whether you're giving commercial food that's available in the market, or however your choice is, it's a combination and all. So just like, those things, and they keep changing. For example, right now, when the dog is at their healthiest age, the vet costs will be significantly lower, but later in life they might increase. So you might want to sort of, like, I like to think of it, start like an RD or an SIP of some sort. But you're always sort of saving for things for your dog also,
Yeah.
because again, right now they're part of the family, and like you would with a human child, right, you save money. And again, I think, not to be too exaggerating, or don't want to sound too scary or too this thing, but easily, I think, anything between a 7 to 15K a month is what a dog's expenses can be,
For a
right?
large breed dog.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
again, depending on the size of the dog, depending on your choices, depending on, again, what is available in and around you, how easy or how difficult it is to source something, right?
Absolutely.
All of this, at least 7 to, again, there's no upper cap to it because that's a personal choice, but realistically it can cost between
And I think it'll be slightly higher during the puppy months.
correct.
First
Yes.
5 6 months, because
Yes.
you'll have your vet visits, you'll
Yes.
have your trainings, you'll have your all the products that you need to purchase.
Yes. And they
And
will keep outgrowing.
yeah,
So the collar you bought today won't fit 2 months later, and then, the harness that you
absolutely.
bought today won't fit a month later. So a lot of things happen. It's quite a dent that initially hits you, but yeah, it is because they're growing. So yeah,
Absolutely. And I think this piece of information is so important for pet parents today to know before they actually get into it, because it shouldn't suddenly hit you like, oh my God,
yeah,
I didn't realize this, and now I have to make a decision between either surviving somehow on my wallet or compromising on my dog's health,
correct.
right? That should never be a choice for any pet parent in the world,
Anyway,
because it's a really difficult choice, and nobody should be judged. But what we can at least help is prepare
correct.
ourselves.
Correct, correct. And I'll just add here that, even though, remember I said I felt that I'm ready financially also, I also had like a ballpark figure in my head, right? Maybe like 10K a month is what it will cost. I can manage that. And then I didn't know puppyhood, right? All these things initially they come. So I had come to a point where I was telling people, for if there was an occasion, it was Diwali, it was whatever, I was like, मुझे कुछ मत gift करना. Here are the links.
My puppy list.
Buy a puppy. Don't spend money on this. Like, save me some money by buying me things for my dog.
I
So
remember I had to pause all personal expenses and be
yeah,
like, this can wait. New
exactly.
shirt can wait.
Can wait. Do I need it? And it's like, now again, it's a matter of choice also, because
Yeah,
after that initial thing, you also get into a rhythm, right? Things stabilize. This is what I'm spending on food. This is what I'm spending on treats. This is what I'm spending on grooming. Da da da. Right? Once you cross that 1.5 years of age, I think,
yeah,
and hopefully the dog is doing well health wise, so you don't have a lot of vet kharche also and things like that. So you do sort of get to a point, but again, no matter how prepared you are, it can still hit you
it can always hit you.
hard.
Be
Yeah,
over prepared. That's
yeah,
the
be
best way to
over
put it.
prepared. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a puppy months, and I mean, your life with Sparkle has been just one big adventure after that, right? Like you guys shifted to Bangalore, I think, sometime early in 2022, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, yes, yes.
And then I think Sparkle has visited schools. Sparkle has become a role model in the apartment. Like, how? I mean, I'm not surprised, but can you tell other parents how this is possible as well?
So I think, yeah. So it our first adventure was moving from Delhi to Bangalore again, and this was something I did consider because my job had changed. I was working from home in Delhi, I knew, but I always knew I will be moving to Bangalore. So that was something that was always there for me to before office opens and I have to move. I knew I had some time. Maybe I could have waited to come to Bangalore to get a dog, but I just didn't. I didn't want to, and I'm glad I didn't because I wouldn't have gotten Sparkle then. But yeah, so those were again right. I evaluated what would make sense. I was too scared to put her up on a flight. The road travel would have taken forever, and it was going to be her first this thing. So we traveled by train. That was the first adventure that sort of that we did together. Then we moved here to an entirely new city. We had those initial hiccups also settling in here for her as well. All that happened. Then she got her first heat right when we moved. That also just hit me that, oh, I'm not prepared for this in the middle of all of this. But yeah, from that to all the things that you said, right? Her getting out of her mother's training program and officially sort of getting trained to become a therapy dog, to before that, like going for different travels and all the other things, good things that have come along. I think I credit a lot of it to her, of how she is as a dog. And I think you mentioned this earlier also, Shobhit, right? Like retriever or behaviors of dogs, etc. I think one thing is very important for us all to understand and accept is that even if, yes, definitely there are certain behaviors and traits that come in expected with a certain breed, but then even with that, every dog is different, right? Every dog in the same litter is also different. So,
Correct.
we
Yeah.
cannot compare a retriever to retriever. And that's one thing that I know it's not related to this question, but that's one thing I see a lot, and it kind of breaks my heart.
Yeah.
But I also get it's something you learn over time, I guess, that comparing your dog to another dog doesn't help because every dog is unique. Every person, every family, the way every family, every person handles their dog is different. Everybody's circumstances are different, and nobody again intentionally would want to be a bad pet parent. I mean, we'll leave out those who get into abandoning and don't think and all of that, but like those who actively want to spend
I
a
think
good,
vast majority are
yes, vast
always
majority.
intending to do right.
Yes, those
Yeah.
intending to do, to have their dog with them throughout and like have a good life with their dog. Nobody is trying to do harm to their dog on purpose. Everybody has a different learning curve and a different time when they learn certain things. Some of us get acquainted to certain concepts earlier. Some of us learn later and things like that. So, but I think at the end of the day, it's important to not really compare. Like for me, again, right, Tucker was the sort of reason why I wanted a retriever.
Yeah.
And maybe initially in my head, I had this unconscious expectation that my dog will be like Tucker. But she's not. She's not. She has her own personality. She has her own quirk. She is a good girl, no doubt. As she is
But
as
she's
good
a
a
good girl in her own right.
her own way, not
Yeah.
in a Tucker way, not in any other dog's way. She is a good girl in her own way. Similarly, every dog is a good dog in their own way. And the reason why different things become possible is again, understanding what your dog is okay with. Um, there are things that she's okay with, there are things that she's not okay with, and I wouldn't ever want to force down things that she's not okay with on her, right? There's no point. I what will I achieve out of, like, if,
Correct.
for example, I know she's scared of unstable surfaces, right? She doesn't like to keep her paw. What will I achieve by
Making her do it.
forcing her to do that?
Yeah.
For it'll make me feel good, right? But what is happening to the poor dog? And
Correct.
if I do that, she loses her trust in me,
Correct.
and I am unnecessarily getting disappointed. and the dog is feeling that, right? Dog sense our feeling. So she is feeling disappointed for something she's not even done. So I think it's very important. Everything, anything good, and everybody has a different definition of good or what they want to do with their dog. It all comes with understanding your dog and having a very solid trust relationship, I think, wherein your
So
dog.
how did that help you
Hmm.
finding the right adventures for her? Because this is really important, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
once you start accepting the dog for who they are, which
yes,
honestly it is quite difficult,
it is.
because a lot of us enter this world of pet parenting with a lot of expectations that my dog's going to be a Tucker, my
Correct.
dog's going to be a
Charlie.
Oscar or
Yeah,
Karma, or maybe my dog's now going to be a Sparkle, right?
yeah,
Like so these expectations hinder us from finding out who our dogs really are.
correct.
And suppose you are able to get past that and
Hmm.
accept your dog for who they are,
Hmm.
which you did at a very early stage. And I think both of you have been blessed because of that realization.
Yeah.
How does that help you? If you can tell from your own experience, like how did you know that, Sparkle could be great at this?
Yeah, I think it's sort of very hard to describe that feeling,
Yeah,
but it's a very liberating feeling, right? To be sure of what your dog wants or needs, or what would make them happy, or what will not make them uncomfortable. I
yeah,
think forget knowing what will make them happy, just knowing what will not work for them is a very important and again liberating realization
absolutely.
on its own.
Yeah.
And
And you
that's
see it from your dog's face
correct,
also. Yeah.
correct, correct, right? You see them wanting more of that thing. You see them being okay with it. You see them getting excited about things. So, that realize, and you see them being okay with new things also, because, now you've reached that point where the dog also trusts you that if you're doing, I don't know this, but if you're setting me up for this, it will be okay.
Yeah.
Like, I might feel a little hesitant, but I know you're going to be there to encourage me. Swimming was like that for Sparkle, right? Again,
I remember.
people think retrievers are born to swim. I thought retrievers are born to swim. Like a foolish person, I forced her into the pool for the first time and she hated it. And that's when I went back to you and we did that
Big
swim.
shout out to Karthik also because he was
Yes.
amazing in helping her
He was,
get through it.
yes, yes. And we had that swimming class. I met you all. We did that. We learned how to encourage and how not to over encourage, because that
Yeah.
builds on to the anxiety, right?
It's
And
same like again, like I hate to do this, but again the analogies are perfect from the human world, right? Like if you want your kid to learn swimming, you're not going to push them into the swimming pool.
exactly,
You're going to
exactly,
educate them and be supportive and be it's
correct,
fine, come, I'll
correct,
do it with you.
correct,
Which is
right?
exactly what you guys did. Like
Yeah. That's what, right? That's how it is. So, like, again, patience, I think, is the key for anything and everything to do with a dog, because this is you speaking a language and them speaking a different language. You thinking with your human brain, they thinking with one brain cell. Right? So, it's a very important sort of thing to have that trust and that patience, and being okay with my dog is not going to be like that, right? We see those videos, right? This dog, which is like some athletic dog jumping, and my dog is like that. It's okay. Not every dog's supposed to be athletic. Not every dog's supposed to be friendly. Not every dog's supposed to be a therapy dog. Not every dog's supposed to be like, good at sniffing, or like, whatever, right? Like every dog's good at sniffing, but like you get it, that's scent work and things like
yeah.
that, right? Every dog has their own personality, again, breed trait, genetics, lots of things, right, at play, and it's okay to accept that. And once you do, then is when I think the possibilities become endless, because you reach that point of confidence that it's almost like you feel so proud. Like, I'm very proud of Sparkle, because I know that, wherever I take her, whatever I do, I will not do anything which will make her or endanger her, or like, make her uncomfortable. And B, anything new also that I throw her way, I know this is how it will be. This is how she will, take to it. And when
And you can
things
filter out the things she won't like.
correct, and
Yeah.
also know that, despite me thinking this will go well, if it doesn't, what to do.
Correct.
So that
Yeah.
also happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
You might think my dog will be okay with it, but they're not. That's also okay, na? ठीक है. At least you know how to handle that. You
Correct.
know, if suddenly you didn't think your dog will bark at another dog, you thought they'll be okay with it, but something happened. They were not in that mode. How to handle that? How to control that? How to manage that situation without it becoming unsafe or unpleasant for anybody, right? So that that's how it helps, knowing
Absolutely.
your dog and building that trust and building that faith, and it's a two-way process. You have
And
to
working with your dog and experimenting on a few things, and having that support around you of not
correct.
only your family but also your flatmates, experienced trainers, behaviorists is
Yes,
really important, because they can constantly guide you and tell you that okay, this is good, this is maybe not good,
correct,
maybe relook at this, because it's not
correct,
just one person raising your dog, right? We like to say it takes a pack to raise a dog.
correct. And it does, it
Yeah.
does, it's true. And I think the one thing everybody should drop is mujhe sab aata hai, because that is the biggest blocker. If you think that my way or the highway wala situation hai na with dogs, that's what happens. Like, then nobody would want to help you, nobody would want to, you become unapproachable.
You be close to
Correct,
ideas.
you become
Yeah.
close to new ideas, you could become close to improving, and it happens again, right?
Yeah.
People are people, and there are all kinds of people. We see that in the apartment. Some people are close to it, so we also don't sort of, it's okay
Push
because
them.
they are
Yeah.
doing their best. Again, nobody's trying to set their dog up for a bad life, but
Absolutely.
again,
So
I
what next for Sparkle and Chavi? What are the big goals you have for the next few years? Because right now I think Sparkle is about 2 years and a few months. So she's right, absolutely the right age now where
yeah,
she can start doing so many things, right?
yeah.
Like, what are your goals with Sparkle, and what are Sparkle's goals for you?
I think Sparkle's goal for me are constant. It's that she wants to be fed constantly. That's the only
So
goal
true.
with which she operates. She's a
You
very
can
high.
do whatever you want. Just give me
Yeah,
good food.
as long as the food is coming, everything's good. So she's a very highly food motivated dog. So yeah, that's her goal for me. For me, I know, I think this sort of it's a goal I had for this year, which kind of goes on to the next year, because
Hmm?
I've been extremely busy this year with work and other things. But it's there for me. I think I'm very drawn to training and the wonders of training that dog experiences and you experience. I love, and again, right, a lot of training you can do at home if you just
Yeah.
have the patience, and it doesn't take hours. It takes 10-15 minutes, maybe a couple of times a day
Absolutely.
to kind of work with your
Such
dog
an
because
important tip. I love the fact that you have said it.
yeah.
Training is not something that you need to do for hours. It's just,
Yeah, it's
it takes
not,
a few
it's just,
minutes and it's good enough.
yeah, like that's it, just 2-3 times a day, maybe 10 minutes, that's all you need, all your dog needs, and there's no stopping you. So I think for me, I'm always looking for the next challenging thing for Sparkle in terms of training, because like you, a lot of people have pointed out that she has a lot of potential. She's a very smart dog.
Yeah.
She's too smart for her own good sometimes. But she's a very smart dog, and I want to sort of, keep that up. I want to constantly challenge her and do more things with her, do great things with her for fun, not for fun, for like dedicated therapy work, etc. So that's like a goal that I have for her in terms of her training, and I always have that goal, and I think I'll always have that goal. What next? What next? What can we do more in terms of her training? And I think a personal goal is that we've this year I wanted to make her travel 3 times. We traveled 5 times. So next
Wow.
so next year also I want to take her for a vacation at least 3 times, and I hope that one of them can be in the snow. Well, that's something she's not seen yet. She's seen the beach, she's seen the hills, she's seen plains and things nearby. She's seen water and everything. Snow is something she's not experienced, and so have I. I'm not really snow, so I want her and me to experience snow
Go
together.
together.
Hopefully,
Nice.
Hopefully sometime
That
this.
will make for one postcard.
Yeah. So yeah.
And what about you? Like we have focused so much on Sparkle and her journey, right? Like so let's focus on you. Okay. So you are a full-time mom to Sparkle, like we have clearly come to know.
Yes.
You're a full-time employee at a huge MNC,
Yes.
and you are also very, very active on social media. You do so much of education. In fact, one of the first things we collaborated on, and again coming back to the how we met you story, it was on an educational reel, which
Yes.
pet parents like who follow Sparkle really adore the kind of content you're creating. How do you get the time to do all of this? First is how do you get the time, and second is how do you get the motivation?
I think it surprises me also, honestly. Sometimes like you said, I do have a full-time job and I need that full-time job for
Yeah,
various reasons. Most important one, maintaining Sparkle's lifestyle. And
sugar mommy to Sparkle.
yes, and then of course, being a dog parent is a full-time job. And if you are a dog parent who also cares about being active on social media, that is also a full-time job. I have essentially three plus other full-time jobs, which is like my own house is a
And
full-time
mentor at the pack.
yeah,
Four.
and at the apartment.
Oh my God.
So no, but okay, not humble bragging here, but I think it's a lot of it happens because I am personally motivated to do it. Right? It's different for everybody. This excites me. This makes me happy. A job is something we
We
all
have to do.
have to do. Maybe we like it, maybe we don't. We've all grown up to work, and that stays. Of course, being Sparkle's mom and everything to do with Sparkle, whether it's being associated with the pack in whatever capacity, whether it's being part of my apartment's pet committee, whether it's being active on social media, everything, it just comes because I am very happy doing it. So I think once you're sort of inclined towards something, you kind of figure out the time.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I am always tired. I'm
But you're
never
always satisfied.
I'm always satisfied.
Yeah.
I'm never maybe well rested. I am never maybe always like multiple times in a day ripping my hair apart that what all am I supposed to do and all that. But at the end of the day, I do it and it feels good. I sometimes let go of a lot of things that maybe, okay, today I don't have the bandwidth to focus on this. Today I can't do this. That's also important, right? And
Very
that's
important.
not
Yeah.
just with dog parenting, that's in general in life, right? You have to let go of something and prioritize thing. It happens, but
Do you
at the
think so?
end of
This is something that I have realized in my pet parenting journey that, and it sounds so cheesy, but I don't think it is because it's kind of real
the
that pet parenting, and for me specifically, I can say dog parenting makes you a better person in a lot of ways.
oh, it does.
And I can't say why yet. I still haven't been able to figure out the words,
Yeah,
but it does, right?
it
Like,
does. It
yeah,
does. I think it. I completely agree to it. And my theory too is that because a pet's love is so unconditional and
yeah,
it's so pure, no matter what you do, you don't do anything. You don't do anything. You do the bare minimum. Also, they'll still love you the same.
yeah,
You get them the best of everything. They'll still love you the same,
yeah.
right? A dog doesn't care for anything. Like only yesterday, I was, crying about I ordered a gift for her and the packaging was like broken, and I was like, yeah, it's not looking pretty. It's not, and I'm like, she doesn't care.
It doesn't.
He was so
That
worried.
packaging would have been torn by me anyway, mom.
Yeah,
Like,
she would have like shredded apart anyway. She will still do it, right? So, you know, it's us, right? I
yeah,
think dogs and animals in general are so unconditional with their love. It unlocks something in your heart, right? Like it opens you up in such different ways. And that's how I think you just become a better person, because now you sort of learn to care for somebody who can't speak for themselves.
yeah.
You become a lot more empathetic, I think. And that's how the sort of that good the nicer part of you sort of comes out. Like it's there, they just unlock it.
Wow. What a
Yeah.
happy note to end the podcast on, no? But I'm so much in agreement with you. And overall, like, I'm like, I'm not ashamed to say that we are so lucky to have parents like you, who
Oh,
are sort of paving the way forward for a lot of other parents. Because trust me, it's okay, we have a certain number of pet parents today in India, but I believe there are like 3x or 4x of that many parents who are just
yeah,
waiting for the right moment, like another pandemic,
correct.
which I hope never comes. But yeah,
Yeah,
another pandemic when everybody is like, at home and free,
yeah,
and when like they have more support at home, maybe they have a partner, maybe they have family, just
correct.
waiting to get that dog, right? And
Yeah.
it's so nice to see that they'll have role models and people like you,
Oh,
because
thank you.
we didn't have like 2015 to
Yeah,
2020, we didn't really have a lot of role models.
correct.
Maybe we could see for somebody in the US or UK, but that does not really resonate with us. So for
Yeah.
us to see now that there are role models like you, it's so nice to see. And thank you for doing such a marvelous job at being such an amazing role model.
Oh.
I know you're blessed to have Sparkle, but I think this Sparkle can say the same about you also.
I hope so. I hope so. That's what she's telling her friends.
Yeah, and thank you, Sparkle, for that wonderful cameo. I'm sure we'll put a lot more clips together in the podcast as B rolls as well. But like, she knew it. She knew what was going on today.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure. You like you're talking about me, at least like have
Yeah.
me come on camera
Have
for
me
one second.
talking. Why do I hear my name and I hear Neo's name and nobody's like, why am I not in the picture?
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Chhavi. Really, really appreciate you doing this. And I'm really looking forward to what's next in your and Sparkle's life. We are always going to be keen supporters. We're
Thank
always going to be cheerleading along the way.
Yes, that's so true. You're always my biggest cheerleader. And thank you so much for having me do this. Thank you so much for trusting me to do this
Of
and
course.
for all the nice things that you said.